We are taught not to listen to our emotions, especially when it comes to discipline and motivation, because you are going to experience times in your life where you feel super motivated to get your life together, to go to the gym, to do all of these amazing things, and sometimes in life you won't. That motivation and discipline will literally lose itself. You will not have any ounce in you that wants to push, wants to better yourself. You just want to lay in bed, doom scroll, and have ice cream. And that is fine. The thing is, we are always taught not to listen to our emotions when it comes to motivation. And I believe this to an extent, but I think there's a level of balance in it because I teach people to listen to your emotions, not to be persuaded to them and not to react with them, but listen to them, because emotions are wisdomic teachers. I actually had a mentor once who told me this, and it changed my outlook on emotions because as a child I was so hyper independent. I was so almost numb to my emotions, and I viewed emotions as weakness, and so I always tried to suppress my emotions. When I started healing and really developing my sense of self, I understood how powerful your emotions are and what they can actually do. I view emotions like an ocean. Sometimes the ocean is very calm and it's beautiful, and other times it's super scary and it can kill you. And that is how emotions are. It doesn't mean that you can tame the ocean. Can you tame an ocean? No. No, you can't. But you can observe it. You can go with the flow of it. And that is how I learned to really sit in my emotions, especially coming from somebody who had a lot of fear with being in my emotions. Now being able to sit in it and understand the lesson is crucial. And I actually developed a framework because I had to learn. I learned how to deal with emotions on my own. I was never taught how to deal with emotions. In fact, I was taught the opposite. Don't deal with them. Ignore them. Suppress them. Use food. Use drugs. Use alcohol. Use weed instead of dealing with your emotions. So this is my framework. First is awareness. You cannot change what you aren't aware of. So how does this work in regards to emotion? Become aware of your emotion. If you're like, girl, I don't even know. There's so many resources online. You can look up a wheel of an emotion and you can pinpoint what emotions you're feeling. A lot of time you won't just be feeling one emotion. They will be multiple emotions that you're experiencing at once. That is completely normal. Pinpoint the emotions you are currently feeling. That's step one, awareness. Step two is acceptance. This is a huge step in this stage because a lot of people like to jump from awareness to change. You have to accept it. And why it's so crucial is because I used to just jump from awareness to change, but the underlying emotion that I had, the intention at least, was to change because I didn't like where I was at. So when we come to that step of acceptance, we are accepting where we are now, knowing that we get to change. And that's a different outcome that you're going to experience. For me, specifically in the gym, when I first started going to the gym, my underlying attention and acceptance was not accepting where I was now, and I really wanted to change because I hated myself deeply. Whereas this new integration that I've made for my pillars is acceptance, because we want to give ourselves love for where we are now. So the foundation of growth is love. Next step is forgiveness. Whoo, child. Okay. Forgiveness is a huge topic for me as somebody who's experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse, a lot of neglect. It took me a long time to forgive. And I think the hardest part of my journey with forgiveness was actually forgiving myself, but it was the most crucial step and the most illuminating experience that I've ever experienced. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation, and that is a huge thing that I had to learn myself. When I was first told, you need to forgive your dad, for example, I was so angry. What do you mean I need to forgive the person who hurt me the most? The person who abandoned me when he shouldn't have? The person who was supposed to show me love didn't. I was filled with so much resentment and hatred and fear and guilt towards my father that it clouded my judgment when somebody told me to forgive. Eventually, I did a lot of inner work and I was actually able to see their point of view and understand that forgiveness is almost selfish. I don't like that term. I think selfish is a good thing. A lot of people won't like me for that. It depends on your level of selfish. I have a different definition of selfish than most people do. Anyways, forgiveness is for yourself. It's so you are relieving yourself of this resentment, of this guilt, of this shame that you were once holding. After forgiveness, it's gratitude. I'm going to use, again, my father as an example. So what I would do, the emotion, I'm going to walk you through the whole process that I've already stated so far. So first is awareness. Awareness of what? Awareness of the abandonment and the hurt that I experienced. The emotions was guilt, resentment, hurt. Next one is acceptance. This has happened already. I literally cannot change the past. I can't. It has happened. I accept it. Next one, forgiveness. I forgive you, Dad, because you did the best you could with the resources you had. You didn't know how to love yourself, so you didn't know how to love me. I forgive you. Next one is gratitude. Dad, thank you. Thank you for bringing me to this earth. I really have loved my experience so far, and I know I'm going to experience so much more. I thank you for the hurt, because without you hurting me, I don't like that. Without the hurt that I've experienced from the actions that you displayed, I would never be where I am now. I would have never had to do the inner work that brought me so much forgiveness and so much love into my life that I now am able to spread to other people. Thank you. Last one is the lesson. This is the huge part for me, and this is why it's last. Because if we try to integrate the lesson in the beginning, when we're still experiencing that negative feeling, the lens and the perception of the lesson is going to be distorted. How you know a lesson is in a good lens is if the emotion you're experiencing is a good emotion. I truly believe that the natural state as human beings is love and fulfillment. And we get to experience the negative emotions as well, which I don't think they're negative. I think they're just like the opposite of end of a vibration. But I don't necessarily believe any emotion is negative or positive. It's just how we rationalize it, because we're logical beings that love to rationalize. We're emotional beings that love to rationalize. Anyways, so within this lens, you can actually perceive the lesson to be a positive lesson instead of a negative lesson. And I will give you an example. Before, the lesson that I had took from my father abandoning me was, now I know that I have to do everything alone. And that is a lesson I took in the lens of a negative emotion. Whereas when I did the whole process and was at the other end of gratitude, the lesson is, I have so many lessons. That's why I'm like smiling so much. The lesson is, everything that you go through, every hardship you go through is there for a reason, and you are meant to go through it because you are meant to alchemize it. You are meant to learn from it. You are meant to grow from it. And then you can teach other people how to do the same. I've had so many lessons that I've literally sat down specifically with my father. I was not with him, but I've sat down with the topic of him, and I have learned so much just from going through my childhood, just from forgiving. And I've done this with a lot of people in my life, not only my father, and I've done this with myself as well. So I'm just going to recap the entire framework that I've built. And when I say I've built it, I've built this. I've sat down. So when I didn't understand how to actually regulate my emotions, I did a lot of research. And I noticed that you had to sit in a safe space, right? So that's what I would do. I would go outside, or something would trigger me, and instead of reacting and yelling like I normally would, I would go upstairs and I'd get myself in a relaxed state, and I would do so many different things until I came to this conclusion of this is how it works, at least for myself. But I've also helped other people go through hard emotions with this framework, and it's worked for them as well. First one, awareness. Second one is acceptance. Third is forgiveness. Fourth is gratitude, and last one is lesson. If you are experiencing a really negative emotion or anything really hard in your life, I want you to take this process and run it through this framework. Love yourself as much as I love you. Mwah.